G'day watch fans, welcome to ZLK Watches, your home of novice horology on a budget. What we're going to do today is a bit of a tutorial. We're going to look at how to remove the hands from this Tevez 801A. This is the same one that I broke in one of my tutorials on removing that Cyclops. And then I'm going to show you how to put the hands back on afterwards. So to start off with, we're going to get the case open and see if we can't get those hands off nice and easy. This one, quite simple, it's got a quick pin release, so usually you're going to have to rip out your tool, okay, to get those spring bars out, but fortunately for this one I can just use the quick pin. So I'll put that to one side, same again here, just use the fingernails. Alright, put that to one side. Alright, and I'm just going to chuck on some finger cots now, because even though you don't have to, it's always handy just not to leave smudges and things on the hands and on the inside, say on the dial and the movement. So finger cots are on, like I said, just purely to stop any smudges and things inside the dial, on the hands, all those bits and pieces, because they can get quite annoying. Now, 9 times out of 10, you've got a screwed on case back, which you'll need some sort of tool to open, or what I use, a rubber ball. But on this one, because it's a cheap Tevez watch, it's actually got just a pry off, snap on case back, so I'll show you how to get that one off. It's worth it if you're going to do something like this to invest in just a really cheap kit. So this one's just off Amazon, but you can get the same ones off eBay. They kind of have everything that you need and they're not too expensive. I'm going to use something from that now. It's just a little case back opener. These are pretty trash, but it actually fits right in the groove that I need to open here. So I'm just going to make sure that I don't damage it and just slide in this groove, press it in. It off. Okay, if it was a more expensive watch, you could probably put some sort of tape or something just to stop it from scratching, like it's done a little bit there, but I'm not too fussed. Tevez automatic movement. Your next step when trying to get this apart is to work out how to get the crown and stem out. Now you're going to either have a screw or some sort of pin. I'm just going to have a look here really closely. Looks like there's a pin, you might see right here. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that out and see if that will let me do it. Perfect. So I'll put the crown to one side, and now the movement should just pop out. Okay, I might get this plastic ring out first. Oh, there you go. Came up with a plastic ring. See that nice crack there? That was a good effort, that one. Okay. So now you've got your movement ready to go. It's ready to pry those hands off. Make sure you've got a safe place to put your hands. Now, 2 different ways you can go about this. The first way is jumping online and grabbing yourself a Presto tool. Pretty easy. As you squeeze it together, that central pin pushes forward, pops the hands off whilst keeping that pin pushing down in the center. However, if you've just gone and invested in one of those Amazon kits that I showed you before, you get these 2 nifty little pry bars which work perfectly fine. So you're just going to need some kind of plastic to protect your dial, especially if it's an expensive one. In this case, not expensive, but you don't need special little covers, little sliding in plastic Bergeon type bits of equipment that slide between the dial and the hands. All your bits of your watch will come in these plastic bags. So if you just keep one of those, it'll work perfectly. You just lay it on the top, get your pry bars, you wedge them between the hour hand and the dial, and you should hear a little pop. Just make sure to use tweezers here. Again, you could use something different if you don't want to scratch your dial, but I'm not too fussed with this one. Okay. Now we have a dial with no hands. Perfect. If you have a look over here, you can see the hands. I've just got them sitting on the mat here. I'm going to use something different here. If you didn't have it, you can just use tweezers and sort of hold them in place. But this stuff here, Rodico, everyone uses it. It's in the little watchmaking game. It's really, really handy. It's like a blue tack that's not going to leave any residue. And you only need a little tiny piece of it, just to assist you putting the hands back on. Okay, so about that much. Not much. Okay. Getting the hands back on. First thing I'm going to do to get the hands back on is put the stem and crown back in. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to need to wind at some point. Check it. Alright. Okay, so before I line up where my hands are going to be, I've got to get this date set right, and I've got to do this the long way. I've got to wind it and wind it and wind it until that date is just about to click over, and then I know my hour hand will be facing up at the 12. Turn, 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 turn. Oh, starting to click here. So I've noticed that the dial's starting to move. Just going to slowly ease it until it clicks. There we go. Alright, now I know the hour hand's got to be facing forward at the 12. Please, if you're going to do this, invest in a set of these. Alright, they're just little tools that are going to allow you to press on the hands. Do not get one of those lever presses. You're going to bend pinions, you're going to snap bits and pieces, and you're going to bend your hands. These come in 3 packs, different knobs at each end. All you've got to do is, I'm just going to grab my hour hand here, just match up the hour hand hole with the same size in the press tool. Alright, and then you just got to press it on. So I know this is going to line up here. Got to drop it down, press it on, wait for the click. Looked right to me, and there we go. So yeah, I'm just going to double check that date function. Just means I'm going to have to do 2 loops, but that's alright. 1. 2, as it's going to the 12. 3. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to line that right up on the 12, and I'm also now going to do the minute hand. So I'm going to use my Rodico, grab my minute hand, line it up, because as that minute hand hits the 12, the hour hand is going to be on the 12 as well. So that's how we line it up. Now I'm going to change my press end here, get the right one. That's it. Okay, so I'm just going to line it up best I can. Sits there. Wait for the click once I drop it in. Look like that worked. Okay, you just check the clearance, make sure that the hands, there's some space in between them. Then when you wind, works perfectly. Fantastic. Okay, next thing is the second hand. Always the hardest. I'll show you why. The second hand just doesn't fit on to that central pinion. There is a tiny little pin sticking out of that second hand that slots into a tiny little hole at the end of the pinion. It can be very, very difficult to do. I'm actually going to use a loop, which is one of these little nifty gadgets, just to make sure that mine is going on correctly. You can do this by just looking really closely at it if you want. Okay, so I'm going to get my press tool with the flat end. Okay, it's that one. Nope. I think that one will do. Alright, now I'm going to line this up as good as possible. You know what? I can't do this with a camera and a loop, so I'm just going to do it as good as I can. Oop. Alright, seem to go in, and we have movement. Double check that, it's not going to foul anywhere. Just give it a wind, make sure it's not going to foul on anything. So by fouling I mean one of the hands hitting one of the other hands. Perfect. Alright. Not fouling, nothing's hitting anything else. We're done. Okay, this bit's a difficult step because I've got to try and take out the crown and stem whilst my hands are still there. So it's a little bit finicky. The way I do it is I press in like this, and I use a spare finger just to knock that crown out. Double check, still running. Good. Now, before I put that back inside the case, get your Rodico, just make sure there's no bits of fluff, it's a thing. If you can blow it, you can get one of these little puffers. Just make sure there's no dust or anything on your dial. Okay, it might be unnoticeable, but if you're looking at it every day, it's going to annoy you a lot. Alright, I'm going to do the same with the case. It's going to get a bit of glasses cleaner or a watch cleaner. Not going to be too pedantic at it because, as you can see, there's a giant crack through it, so I'm not going to be using this for long. And replace that. Okay, put your watch case face down. Make sure that your crown and stem, where they line up, is lining up with where the crown position is. Drop it in. Okay, don't worry too much about it. As long as the hole's kind of in the right spot, when you insert this crown and stem, it's actually going to center it for you. So, kind of find where it is. Alright, it's in. Double check. First position. Date moves. Second position. Hands move. We're cooking. Alright. Last but not least, case back. Give that a bit of a clean as well. Might as well now that it's off. I'm just going to line that little ridge with the very, very base between the lugs, just so that it's easy to get off next time. On. Now, if you're an expensive watch, you can get a big press that you can press down and get that perfectly set, but because this is a cheaper one, I'm just going to click it down with my thumbs. Not looking for superior water resistance on this. Okay, done. Watch band is the next to go on. It's easy. I'm just going to take one of these finger cuts off this one because it's quite easy to do with a fingernail. So one end in, slide the pin down, click it in space. Same again here, one end in, slide the pin down. There you have it. That is the taking off and the repressing of hands on an automatic watch movement with the date function. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. I've got a few videos on in different stages, some restoration projects and a few other bits and pieces, some how-tos, but there's going to be more content added as I come up with it. Check out my Instagram page at ZLK_watches. There's a bit more content on there, plenty to see. Be sure to give that one a follow as well. Thanks for watching. Thank you.